Hello, and welcome to this year's first episode of In the Spotlight. I'm your host, Arthur Bodenschatz. With the pending election coming in November, North Canton City Schools District has put a levy on the ballot to fund new district buildings and renovations. Here to go over more specifically what Issue 44 entails is our Superintendent, Mr. Jeff Wendorf, and School Board President, Mr. Bruce Hunt. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Sure, glad to be here.
So, Mr. Wendorf, could you tell me who came or where did the idea for this levy come from?
Sure. In November of 2015, the Board of Education actually contracted with a local architect to do a feasibility study and a facility study to determine our current condition and to serve as a pre-bond architect to, again, analyze our buildings and so on. And then that process took place over the past several years, culminating with community meetings in the fall and winter of 2016 and 17, and then board action this summer to put the bond issue and the finance package on the ballot.
Yeah, so this has been in the works for quite a while.
Yes.
And Mr. Hunt, could you tell me what are the goals that this levy is hoping to accomplish?
There are really two crucial needs for our district right now. One is financial stability, particularly in the out years, and secondly, our aging facilities. So this levy is two-pronged. It provides money for new facilities and then operating money to, again, bring financial stability to the district.
And Mr. Wendorf, could you tell me, how do you think this will affect the community?
Well, it is a tax increase. We believe that it will serve as two purposes. One is a huge economic development factor for our community to develop improved facilities, which also directly affect property values. So school districts and the value of school districts and the quality of school districts directly affects property value and business growth and so on. So we believe that that's one thing that will happen is a increase in property values and overall value. The second piece is a strong school is a strong community, and we're building our future. Young men as yourself, that we're wanting to make sure that you're as prepared as possible for your future.
Right. So definitely there's a lot of values coming from this as far as property and economic values. Mr. Hunt, how do you think this changes the morale for our school board and our community?
Well, again, I think one of the things I ran on 4 years ago for a board is strong schools, strong community, and I agree with what Jeff said. I would challenge you to find a strong school in a bad community or a bad school in a strong community. The two are intertwined. So I think this is crucial. I think this it's almost a watershed moment for our community to say, what do we want for our community? What do we want to be in the future? And certainly our future is in our kids, in our school system. It's a main draw for North Canton. I can tell you, as a hiring manager, I've brought 6 people in the last 10 years, and every one of them ask, where's the best schools in the district? They haven't asked, what's the city tax I'm going to pay working in this office? They've asked, where's the best place for me to relocate our family? So schools are crucial, so I think this would be a huge boost for our community to have these new facilities.
Right. So definitely a lot of advantages, and you're here to talk about this. So, Mr. Wendorf, why do you support this levy?
Very same reasons we just mentioned, strong schools, strong community, to be able to provide our students, our kids, our future leaders what they need to succeed in their lives and their educational future and professional future. Financial stability is important. I think that's something that drives where we are, and we are an organization that is a people business, and we need to be able to have the best teachers and retain the best teachers and recruit them and provide the best services that we provide now with lots of opportunities for kids. And it's just it's a huge moment for us, a big moment to make 2 giant steps forward and not to regress in our services and programs.
Right. So conceptually, this sounds really good, and it sounds like it's going to be really good for the community. And I have a couple of logistical questions too. Mr. Hunt, where will the new buildings be built?
Well, I think some of that is still to be determined, and Jeff, jump in here if I misstate it. Conceptually, right now, the plan is to do 2 pre-K 5 buildings. One would be on the south side of the town, one would be on the north side of the town. Right now, the south location, we're looking at Claremont site. Most likely it will be at where the current site of Claremont Elementary School is, intermediate school. If we go on the north side, That one's a little trickier. Probably Greentown, where the Greentown location is today, doesn't work. So we're probably going to have to find an alternative site. For the new middle school, right now conceptually that's going to be here on the high school property somewhere. We're going to try to fit that in somewhere. But again, I think that's all to be determined, but at least at this point in time, that's the thought process,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Through the building process and through the work with the Ohio School Facilities Commission, and to build 2 buildings of that size, the K-5s with that number of students, you need about 19 acres. Claremont is approximately 19 acres, so that building site is good. It's in the south side. It serves our kids. The density and the geographical locations of our kids is a good spot for that. The north, as Mr. Hunt mentioned, the Greentown site is only 9 acres. So in order to build a building bigger than the one there, we need more property either adjacent to the current site or a different plot of land that's approximately 19 acres.
Sure.
So that's, when you put that many kids in one building, you certainly need play space and field space and appropriate parking and all the utilities. So it's estimated to be 19 acres that's needed.
Now, since we'll be combining these 2 school buildings into one on the north and one on the south, what will the size difference be between these, Mr. Hunt?
Jeff,
We don't, that's been a common question, that's a good question. We don't anticipate changing our boundaries. Right now, Apple Grove is our north and south the boundary for which schools you attend based on where you live. We'll build the buildings appropriate for the kids and where they live currently. They'll be just about the same size, not a lot of difference. So they'll be built appropriately for the kids that live in those school districts, those elementary districts currently.
Now, what will happen to the old buildings, like with Claremont? Will those be demolished, or what will be the effect of the constructions for the new ones?
well, the plan is now, and Jeff can again add some more color to this because you're a little more familiar, but the plan is now for the buildings, they will be demolished, the land will be cleared, and then at that point in time, the school will decide what we do with that property. That's the current plan.
And when will the construction start, if or when the levy would be passed?
Sure. So the typical timeline on a building project of this size is about a year to plan and 2 or 3 to build. Currently, there's no discussion of staging or doing the 2 elementaries, then the middle school. We believe that pending on whoever the architect is and the construction manager, they have the resources to organize that and do that. The other piece to consider is the labor force, the workforce, to be able to handle those buildings and build those 3 buildings and renovate the high school in that timeline. But it's typically a year to plan and 2 or 3 to build.
So there's a lot hanging on this levy right now, a lot of planning that goes into it. What happens if the levy doesn't pass? Is there a plan B to this?
Yes, there is unfortunately a plan B. I mentioned a minute ago we have an opportunity to continue on our path towards excellence and programs and continue to serve our kids and our community. If it does not pass, Mr. Hunt mentioned the financial stability piece. We need to do some things to reduce expenditures. Typically in an organization, you can either increase revenues or decrease expenditures. 2 years ago, we cut $1.5 million from our spending. This year, it's $300,000. If we don't have more revenue, we'll have to reduce another $2 million in expenditures next year. And unfortunately, what that means is a decrease in programs and services. We're a people organization, and a reduction in people to serve our kids and to serve our programs. So that's somewhere that we would prefer not to go. I think
Certainly.
our kids and community certainly want to maintain the level of service that we have now and increase that to, again, continue to be an excellent district.
Right, so I'll jump back to if the levy is passed.
Yes.
What are some of the new technologies, or what are some new advancements that these new schools are planned to have?
Well, the learning environment, one, could be a lot different. Most of our schools are built on the industrial model, where our school district and most schools in the nation have been set for a long, long time. You'll see a more of a flexible learning environment, movable furniture, and we have some of that now, but maybe movable walls, partition walls that move inside, more flexible space where we're not stuck in the industrial mode of rows and columns of desks and kids sitting in a chair for 50 minutes. It's more about active learning, more about shared resources, more about student-led programming and teaching and learning, and just a much more flexible space from an environment point of view. The other technologies are coming very, very fast. Monitors rather than projectors, you know, laptops. Every student has a Chromebook, lots of wireless programs and so on. So that stuff will all be available too. Also systems. It's estimated that a system that we have an opportunity to save on is the efficiency of buildings. So when we build with the Ohio School Facilities Commission, that we will target for a LEED certified silver building, and that has to do with efficiencies and so on. It's estimated that we can use 30% less energy and 30%, excuse me, on an $800,000 electric and gas bill is about $220,000 a year. So we have the potential to save that much money in just 1 year's time based on building infrastructure and so on.
I think another point, it addresses some of our accessibility issues that we have currently as well with new buildings.
Yeah, many of our buildings are not very handicap friendly and different levels, old buildings, and it's just not super handicap friendly. We could certainly improve in our services in those areas, and safety. We have, you know, safe buildings, but they're 1920, 1950, 1960 design buildings without, you know, our new buildings will be designed with current safety pieces in mind.
Right. Without a doubt, there are many, many advantages to be considering with this levy. So thank you guys so much for joining me. It was great talking to you. I'm so happy that we're getting this information out to the community where they can weigh their options and definitely see what the benefits of this levy will be like.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, you guys, for joining me. It's been great talking with you.
Thank you.
As the technological revolution quickly advances, school districts will be doing their best to prepare students for a career in the real world. Issue 44 is North Canton District's attempt to give the children of North Canton the best education they can be offered. Take to heart the message of our superintendent and school board president, and whatever you decide, please fulfill your civic duty by making it out to the polls November 7th.